Coming to you from the mountains and the plain. The only conservative voices brave enough to push back. This is the Conservative Daily Podcast with Joe Otto.
That's what the Second Amendment was designed to do. If you're going to do something to nullify or take away my rights under the Constitution, come get it.
Max McGuire.
When you look at politicians on the left, they need to convince people that they are victims.
A resistance to the resistance. And now your hosts, Joe Otto and Max McGuire.
And welcome back to another edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. My name is Max McGuire. Joe is not on today. He might be having a liver transplant right now. I can neither confirm nor deny that. Now, he's taking a break. It hit us both pretty hard last night, but someone has to do the podcast today, so that's going to be me. And we're going to fact check it. So everyone who was watching our drinking game last night, I hope you all made it. I hope everyone was safe. No one drove or anything like that. So we're going to do a fact check of the first presidential debate. And we had some great callers at the end of last night's debate. So we're going to open up our phone lines again. If you want to call in and let us know what you thought about the debate, 888-441-1121. And in conservative daily fashion, we're going to do a drinking game today again. So let's put up the rules for the drinking game, Mr. Producer. I'm just kidding. We're not going to actually do a drinking game for the fact check. That would be really, really cruel.
I refuse.
And unusual.
I refuse. I refuse.
He refuses. He refuses. People writing in the chats, major hangover. Well, I feel you. I think we all went through a little bit of that. Everyone hit the share button. This is a rough morning for me. It's an even rougher morning for Joe. So hit that share button if you haven't already. Make sure you give us a like on Facebook. Leave a comment in the comment section. And then on YouTube, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Very important. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And then hit the bell for notifications. So, so we're going to play... This was rough. I mean, it was interesting going through and watching, because once we got off last night, I went and watched the debate a second time. That's what I had to do to be able to mark where the cuts were going to be for today. So I didn't get to bed last night probably until 2 a.m. But need to do it to make sure we have a good fact check, a good show. So this is going to be a fact check. It's going to be mixed between a fact check, also highlighting some of the important things that happened in the debate that we might not have been able to cover in real time because we were playing the drinking game and we were a little caught in the moment. So I wanted to start with this clip. I think that this clip was really funny. It has me cracking up. There was a point last night where Donald Trump corrected Joe Biden because Joe Biden started giving a numbered list and he skipped over number 2. And Donald Trump is jabbing back and forth at him, and he just completely flawlessly, he corrects Joe Biden in the middle of it. I want to play it, and we'll play it again, but listen to Joe Biden as he's trying to do the numbered list. And notice how he skips from 2 right to 3, and Donald Trump doesn't let him get away with it. Let's go ahead and play cut 1.
Chris, wait.
Number 2.
Chris,
number 3.
They said it would take... No, you were number 2.
No.
Chris, they said it would
This
take
guy.
a miracle to bring back men.
Do you see that? So Biden's like, and that was number 1, number 2, and then he says number 3, and in the middle of trying to jockey for the attention, Trump says, "No, you're on number 2. You're still on number 2." Let's play that one more time and pay attention for Joe Biden in his counting 1, 2, and 3. Let's play cut 1 again.
Chris, wait.
Number 2.
Chris,
number 3.
They said it would take... No, you were number 2.
No.
Chris.
Oh, no, put it back on, because Joe Biden's response at the end is great.
They said it would
This
take
guy.
a miracle to bring back men.
Yeah, this guy calling me out for saying 1, 3, calling me out for not giving my number 2. This guy. You got a lot of that from Joe Biden last night. That was probably one of my favorite, because it's just so subtle. It's such a subtle dig and such a subtle jab from Trump that, oh no, you can't even get your numbers right. You're on number 2. Don't jump right to 3. You're on 2. Do 2. I thought that was one of my favorite moments, and I wanted to cover it because we didn't get to catch it last night because we were doing other things. So let's get into the actual fact checking of it and the actual critical parts of the debate. In the beginning, Donald Trump said something absolutely factual, that Trump closing our borders to China and Europe saved countless lives, an immeasurable number of lies. And if Joe Biden had been in office, he wouldn't have done it because Joe Biden called it xenophobic. The idea that we wouldn't let Chinese travelers enter the United States during the beginning of the pandemic, he said it was xenophobic. Biden denied it, but no, it's actually true. He did call it xenophobic. So let's play cut 2.
If we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should have closed our country. Wait a minute.
It says 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
So I thought that was a great takedown. And it went downhill from there because you can see Joe Biden starting to squirm a little bit, starting to shift. He's getting uncomfortable because everything Donald Trump just said is factual. Yes, Donald Trump did get glowing reviews from people like Andrew Cuomo, from Gavin Newsom in California, right? Cuomo said that the president gave them everything they needed, with the exception of the extra, 40,000 ventilators that New York demanded. Trump said, no, you're not going to need them. And it turns out Trump was right. They didn't need every single ventilator in the country. It was ridiculous. Trump gave New York everything they asked for. The same with California. California, Gavin Newsom, it's on tape. They actually run these as Trump ads. The great glowing reactions that these Democrat governors have given to the president. And that was early on, right? Once the pandemic is now subsiding, and you had places like New York no longer facing those massive numbers of outbreaks, you saw Cuomo turn. And instead of being appreciative of the president for helping them, he turned against the president because he has the leeway to do it. But that was absolutely spot on. And I just, Mr. Producer, let's go ahead and put up my screen. This is a tweet that Joe Biden put out the day after, or 2 days after, Donald Trump shut down travel from China. And Joe Biden said, quote, "We are in the midst of a crisis with the coronavirus. We need to lead the way with science, not Donald Trump's record of hysteria, xenophobia, and fear-mongering. He is the worst possible person to lead our country through a global health emergency." So again, we are absolutely going to rate that as a true statement from Donald Trump, because Joe Biden absolutely accused Donald Trump of xenophobia immediately following his decision to close our border to Chinese travelers. Let's go and get into this one. So there's a lot of nonsense with the coronavirus. Actually, I don't think I grabbed it. I was trying to grab it, but it was really hard to do. Joe Biden said something during the debate that was just too ridiculous, and I was trying to grab it. I just wasn't able to get it to go in time for the show. But go ahead, Mr. Producer, let's put up my screen one more time. This was a real quote from Joe Biden last night, and I'll read it for people listening to the audio version. The 20, the 200 million, the 200,000s that have died under his watch, how many of those have survived? I'll read it again. The 20, the 200 million, the 200,000s that have died under his watch, how many of those have survived? That's what passes for a Joe Biden coherent thought. 3 attempts to get the number right. And then after talking about people who have perished, which again, as Trump said, one loss of life is unfortunate. After talking about people who have perished, he then asks how many of those people who have died have survived. Very, very strange. Very strange. And we did have a rule during our drinking game. If at any point Joe Biden claimed that millions of Americans had died from something, you had to take a big gulp. And this was one of those moments where we had to take a big gulp. He almost was able to catch himself, but nope, he did very briefly suggest that 200 million Americans had died from COVID-19, which is just not true. So let's get into the talk about the court packing, because this is where Joe Biden was asked point blank whether he would talk about whether or not he would pack the court. And we've talked about this on the podcast. We did a whole episode on court packing. The idea that the Democrats don't get what they want. If Amy Coney Barrett gets confirmed to the Supreme Court, Democrats, if they end up taking control of the Senate and the White House, would abolish the filibuster so they can do anything with a 51-vote majority. And then they would pack the court. They would basically change the law, because the Supreme Court is set at 9 people, but that's not in the Constitution. That's by an act of Congress. We went over this in a previous podcast. That number has changed over the years, primarily when it was when the people on the Supreme Court, the justices, were also assigned to circuit courts, and they rode the circuit. Supreme Court justices no longer ride the circuit anymore. They do preside over different circuits, and they help decide whether or not a case will make it to the Supreme Court or whether a case gets a preliminary injunction. But they don't actually ride circuit. They're not actually traveling around the country anymore. It's an act of Congress that decides how many people are on the Supreme Court. So if Democrats take the Senate, take the House, take the presidency, then they could abolish the filibuster and they could change the number of justices on the Supreme Court's bench. So if they don't like the conservative majority, they can just keep adding liberal justices until they find a majority that they like. Joe Biden was asked about this, and he just refused to answer. Let's go ahead and play cut 3.
Mr. Vice President, if Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett, there has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
Are you going to pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know
He doesn't want
you're a
to answer the
senator.
question.
I'm not going to answer the question
Why
because
wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
So we'll get into Chris Wallace, because Chris Wallace was abysmal. But throughout the night, Donald Trump actually had to play the role of Chris Wallace. So we see that Chris Wallace asked him, do you plan to pack the court? And Joe Biden refused to answer the question. So Donald Trump stepped in and played the role of the moderator, saying, are you going to pack the court? Are you going to pack the court? Reminding him that, yes, a question was asked and he's expected to give an answer. Not to say, listen, Joe Biden's excuse is, I don't want to answer the question because if I answer it, it's going to become a news story. Yeah, that's why we're asking you the question, right? He doesn't want to answer it because if he says no, he'll piss off his liberal base. And if he says yes and he admits that that's the plan, he'll never win. No American will vote for a president who is actually intending to pack the Supreme Court, a la FDR, right? No one would vote for him. So when he says that he won't do it because he doesn't want that to be the story, well, yeah, Joe, I'm sorry, but this is a presidential debate, and if you get asked a question, you have to answer. Trump kept badgering. He kept pestering. And listen, whether you like what Donald Trump did last night or didn't, he went out and he was swinging from the very beginning. And if Chris Wallace was actually a moderator, Trump probably wouldn't have had to try to interrupt Joe Biden as much. But Chris Wallace was teaming up with Joe Biden against Trump, and we'll cover this in other clips. I want to show you the end of this exchange because former Vice President Joe Biden said something that is so classless that if anyone else had done it, if Donald Trump had done it to him, he'd be ridiculed. He'd be forced to resign in shame. Let's go ahead and play cut 4.
Why would you answer that
because
question?
The question is, the question is,
radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Right. Gentlemen, I think
You heard that? Will you shut up? This man just told the president of the United States to shut up. And yeah, sure, he was pestering, he was badgering a little bit, but he was just trying to get him to answer the question. Joe Biden was attempting to pivot. And we'll play that clip one more time. Joe Biden was attempting to pivot and redefine what the real question is, what the important question is. And say, I'm not going to answer your question because this is a more important question we should be talking about. And Donald Trump's sitting over there badgering, pestering. No, answer the question. Why won't you release your list? Why won't you tell us whether you're going to pack the court? And Joe Biden says, shut up, man. And then notice how Chris Wallace at the end comes in to try and protect Joe Biden from having to answer that question. Let's play that again, cut 4.
Why wouldn't you answer that question?
The question is,
radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Right. Gentlemen, I think...
Yeah, I think listen, Chris Wallace asked a question and the candidate didn't answer it. Well, we saw later when Donald Trump was in the process of answering, Chris Wallace was badgering him answer it. Like, we'll talk about it in a little bit about, will you condemn white supremacists? And Trump said, sure, yeah, I'll do it. And then Chris Wallace says, will you do it? Will you do it? Will you condemn him? It's just, it's ridiculous. And then Chris Wallace comes in at the end and says, okay, well, I think we've ended this section. No, we didn't, Chris. You asked Joe Biden a question and he refused to answer. You don't go to the next section until you at least get a yes or no answer out of this guy. Oh, it was so frustrating. Oh, so I do have the clip. My mistake. The clip about 20, 200 million, 200,000. I do have that. Let's go ahead and play that. That's cut 5.
Wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way, the 200,000 people that have died on his watch, how many of those have survived? Well, there's 7 million people that contracted COVID. What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act?
Let's cut that there. I just wanted to play it, just so you know I wasn't making that up. That was him saying the 200 million, the 200,000 that have died under his watch. How many of those have survived? It was a real quote. So I want to make sure you knew that. And that's not him stuttering, right? That's him not knowing the number. And that's him turning around and talking about people who have passed away and then asking how many of those have survived. That's not a stutter. That's just Joe incapable of actually sharing a coherent thought. Call a number, 888-441-1121 if anyone wants to chime in. This was possibly, no, without a doubt, this was the worst moment of the night. Chris Wallace is supposed to be a journalist. He repeated the lie that Donald Trump said there were fine people in the white supremacist movement in Charlottesville, Virginia. That has been debunked years ago. It's a lie. Donald Trump never said that the white supremacists were fine people, but Chris Wallace repeated it. Joe Biden repeated the lie, and they weren't called out for it. So I want to play this. This is a cut of, I believe it's Chris Wallace's question, then it's Joe Biden's ridiculous answer, and then it cuts immediately to the actual quote in question where Donald Trump says, point blank, I'm not talking about white supremacists when I say they were fine people. So let's go ahead and play cut 6.
The issue of race. Vice President Biden, you say that President Trump's response to the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about very fine people on both sides, was what directly led you to launch this run for president.
Oh, yeah. So remember what those people look like coming out of the fields carrying torches, their veins bulging, just spewing anti-Semitic bile, and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed. And they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides.
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
So that it's been debunked years ago, right? When Donald Trump said you had fine people on both sides, 45, 50 seconds later, he said, and just to clarify, I'm not talking about the white nationalists or the neo-Nazis. They should be condemned totally. But for whatever reason, the left thinks they can keep getting away with this. And the fact that Chris Wallace repeated that lie, that talking point, shows what side he was on. because there were times during the debate when Donald Trump said something Chris Wallace disagreed with. He fact-checked him. But that wasn't a fact-check. That was Chris Wallace preparing the question with a known lie. And this isn't just a Fox News thing. CNN has also debunked this. Let's go ahead and play cut 7.
Now, elsewhere in those remarks, the president did condemn neo-Nazis and white supremacists. So he's not saying that the neo-Nazis and white supremacists are very fine people.
But Chris Wallace couldn't find that, right? If Jake Tapper has the decency, and this is years ago, if Jake Tapper has the decency to say, yeah, no, this is a lie, Donald Trump did not call white nationalists fine people. If Jake Tapper has the decency, then what do you think Chris Wallace's ultimate goal here was? Because it's a provable lie. We all know it was a lie. It's a propagandistic talking point. And yet he went into it with that in his prepared question. He was reading off of a teleprompter. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So this next part, again, just like when Joe Biden told the president of the United States, the duly elected president of the United States, to shut up, you think he couldn't get any worse than that. But no, Joe Biden also literally called the president of the United States a racist. Let's play cut 8.
He's the racist.
You just don't know.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more about this than he does.
Let him finish.
The fact is that there is racial insensitivity. People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them. It's important to people know. They don't want to. Many people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, but it makes a big difference. It makes a gigantic difference in the way a child is able to grow up and have a sense of self-esteem. It's a little bit
unbelievable. Unbelievable, right? It's that whole line of questioning, and you hear him. He says, "This guy's the racist," and Trump goes to intervene and say, "What? What are you talking about?" And Chris Wallace says, "No, let him finish." Joe Biden just smeared the president of the United States, calling him a racist, and Chris Wallace said, "No, let him finish. This is his time." Right? Anyone else does that to the president of the United States, they would have been shouted down. They would have been ordered to stop. They probably would have even been ordered to apologize if they had dared to say something like that. Amazing. But that whole line of questioning was also bogus, because what Donald Trump did is he prevented what's it called, critical race theory from being taught. Critical race theory is not the same as racial sensitivity training. Well, let's just get this out of the way right away. Critical race theory is this idea that if you are white, you are bad, and that this country is bad because it is predominantly white. And what critical race theory seminars do is they split you up by race, which the fact that that was happening in a federal bureau or a federal department, illegal, right? The Civil Rights Act makes it illegal to separate people on the basis of race. That's literally segregation. You're not allowed to do that, right? But they would do it because it's okay in the name of critical race theory, in the name of the black racism, anti-white racism. So what they do is they separate you. Everyone who's white, go over here. Everyone who's black, go over here. And then they say, okay, if you're black, say whatever you want about how you feel about race in America. And if you're white, sit down, shut up, and take it. And I don't care if it makes you uncomfortable, take it. And you can't tell them to stop. You have to let them say whatever they want, right? And then they brainwash you into just assuming that America's bad because it's white. Like, that's not the same as racial sensitivity training. That's a basic HR thing where it said, hey, everyone, let's make sure that we don't bring race into the workplace. That's very different from militant anti-white racism, which is what critical race theory is. I thought I had an image of it. I'll see if I can find it. But it's an image that made the rounds from a critical race theory seminar, and it's a hefty black woman crossing her arms, I believe, with an easel behind her, basically saying white people are evil. And then she has her PayPal email at the bottom of it. I'll see if I can find it during this next clip. This next one's actually short. Joe Biden took 2 positions on the Green New Deal, opposite positions within like 30 seconds. He started by saying that the Green New Deal will pay for itself. And then when he was asked whether he supports the Green New Deal, he said no. So let's play that real quick. Cut 9.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental changes will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
So do you support the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
Do you support?
No, I don't support the Green New Deal.
You don't? Oh, well, that's a big statement.
I support
that means you
the
just the radical left.
I support the Biden plan.
You see that? That was Joe Biden literally defending the Green New Deal. Like, oh, the Green New Deal will pay for itself. And then he's asked, do you support the Green New Deal? And he said, no, I don't. So then why are we just saying the Green New Deal will pay for itself? Let's play that one more time. Let's play that cut.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental changes will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
So do you support the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
Do you support?
No, I don't support the Green New Deal.
You don't? Oh, well, that's a big statement.
I support
that means you just the radical left.
I support the Biden plan.
Amazing, right? Amazing. He defends a plan that he then says isn't actually his plan. Unbelievable. Mr. Producer, let's go ahead and put up my screen. During that clip, I was able to get the image that I was talking about. This is what a critical race theory seminar looks like. I actually described it pretty well from my memory. A hefty black woman with vile racist language on the easel, and then a PayPal email address right below her. Amazing. That's what critical race theory seminars look like. And I'll put up this image too. This is another one from another critical race theory seminar. Characteristics of white supremacy: perfectionism, a sense of urgency, defensiveness, quantity over quality, worship of the written word, only one right way. Well, before we even get any further, perfectionism and quantity over quality are incompatible. You can't say that you're a perfectionist, You want everything to be done perfectly, and then also say that white supremacy means cutting corners to get as much out as possible, putting quantity ahead of quality. You can't be both. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but it's racism. It's absolute racism. So we can go ahead and take that off the screen now. Unbelievable. I want to play this clip. This was a little strange from the debate. Joe Biden using the word inshallah, which inshallah is an Arabic word, and it literally means if God wills it, right? It's this idea, inshallah. If God wills it to be so, then it'll happen. It's very interesting. And if you actually trace it, I studied abroad in the Middle East. I also learned Spanish in middle school. In Spanish, there's a word called ojalá. Ojalá que sí, like hopefully. Ojalá is hopefully. Ojalá, you can actually trace that lineage to inshallah when the Arabs controlled Spain. So inshallah got somehow translated into ojalá, but it's this idea of like hopefully, if Allah wills it. Last night during the debate when they were talking about Donald Trump's tax returns, Trump said he would release the tax returns, and Joe Biden responded by saying inshallah, by speaking Arabic. Let's go ahead and play cut A.
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see it. But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just say something, that it was the tax laws. I don't want to pay.
Inshallah. He didn't even really say it right. But it's a very strange moment. And they're trying to say like, oh, it was a great moment. It's a very weird moment for a white presidential candidate to be sitting on a debate stage and to be not only be speaking Arabic. He doesn't speak Arabic, right? It's not like it's like what he speaks at home and it's just part of his language. To not only speak Arabic, but actually to call Allah into question. Like it's not just like, oh, if God wills it. He's actually saying inshallah. It's a very strange thing. It seems very pandering, very, very strange. So I wanted to bring that up because it kind of got missed a little bit, but it's important to bring it up. And I'm not going to say that Joe Biden is some closet Muslim or anything. There are people online saying that. I don't think that's the case. I think that someone told him that was a good idea, a way for him to pander to people. I just don't get it. And I feel like it's important to actually talk about it because it was a quick moment in the debate that would have gotten glossed over, if not for this extra coverage. Okay, so now I want to talk about Hunter. You knew that Donald Trump was going to go after Hunter Biden. You knew it, right? What you didn't expect was for Chris Wallace to defend Joe so that Joe doesn't have to talk about his son Hunter's business dealings. Donald Trump brought up Hunter, which we knew was going to happen. He mentioned the fact that Hunter Biden got $3.5 million from the wife of the mayor of Moscow. Wire transfer. Congressional investigation. Joe Biden just flat out said that's a lie. He lied and said it's false. It's been widely debunked. Let's go ahead and watch it. Let's play cut 10. This is a little long, but I want to play the whole thing for the context. Let's play cut 10.
China
with
ate
Mexico.
your lunch. Down
All right, gentlemen,
18%. China ate your lunch, Joe, and no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars. Takes out billions of dollars to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also,
Simply
while we're
not
at
true.
it, why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? What did he do with Burisma to deserve $183,000?
None
You've
of
asked
that
your question,
is true.
let him answer.
None of that is true.
Oh, really? He didn't get
No,
$3.5 million?
Mr. President,
It's
Mr.
totally-
President, please.
Totally
ask a question.
discredited. Totally discredited. And by the way,
Well, wait, he
let's
didn't get
No, no.
$3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice,
He got
Mr.
$3.5 million.
President,
That is not true.
really?
Listen to Chris
Mr.
Wallace.
President,
But, Mr.
it's an open discussion, please.
Now,
It's a fact.
Well,
It
you
is
have
not a
raised an
fact.
issue. Let the
It's been
Vice
totally
President answer.
discredited.
Did
There was a
Burisma pay him
report.
$183,000 a month with no experience in energy?
Mr.
Look,
President,
no job.
my son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he
and
did.
Mr.
the only guy
President,
that
let
did
him
something-
answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly discredited.
By who?
And
The media?
By everybody. Well, by the media, by our
because they refuse to
allies, by
talk
the
about it
World
because they're
Bank,
embarrassed.
by everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even the people
President,
who
please stop.
testified under oath.
So let me
under
ask you
oath,
this,
under-
Joe.
under
No,
oath.
go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to
Even
you.
the people under,
He got $3.5 million from
testified-
Moscow.
He testified under oath in his administration, said, I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I
really?
did it
I'd like
honorably.
to know who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list
I'll
of the
fire
people who
them.
testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good
Because
job.
some people don't
well,
do a good
here's
job. With you,
Go
they
ahead.
say-
You get
here's the
wait a
deal.
minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this.
Hey,
this
let me just
person.
say, Joe.
No. Mr. President.
$3.5
Mr.
million,
President,
Joe.
That is simply.
Why did
not
he
true.
deserve $3.5 million
It
from
did-
Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's
My
already.
family,
No, let him go.
my family
already
lost
wrote.
a fortune by coming down and helping
Go
us
ahead.
with
Go ahead,
government.
sir.
And that's such a.
they're right
that's
here.
Mr.
That's
President.
such
Every
a great.
single one of them lost
This
a
is not
fortune
about
by
President.
my
coming and
family or
helping
his
us
family.
with
It's
government.
about your family,
They
the
didn't
American
collect $3.5
people.
million.
He doesn't. That's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people. It's about you. That's what we're talking about.
you
here.
should
All right,
Not
that's the end of the
Shouldn't have
segment.
taken the money.
We're moving on.
He didn't take them.
Well,
Vice
it's a very-
President,
but Chris,
no,
can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
No,
He
I
stood
get it.
up.
No,
he stood up,
the answer to
and
the
he
question is no.
threatened Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you don't
That
get rid of
is
the press.
you know what, you're-
absolutely
wait,
not
stop.
You're on
true.
tape doing it.
You're going to
You're on
have
tape.
True.
Gentlemen.
Is-
I hate to raise
Chris,
my voice,
he's
but it
on
seems
tape.
to be, why should I be different than the two of you? So here's the
Got a
deal.
good point.
We have 6 segments. We have ended that segment. We're going to go to the next segment. In that segment, you each are going to have 2 uninterrupted moments. In those 2 uninterrupted minutes, Mr. President, you can say anything you want. I'm going to ask a question about race, but if you want to answer about something else, go ahead. But I think that the country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions. I'm appealing to you, sir, to do that.
Well, and him too.
Well, frankly, you've been doing more interrupting
Well, that's
than
all
he
right,
has.
but he does plenty.
Well, less than, sir, less
there's
than,
plenty.
no, less than you have.
Wow. So I wanted to let that go in its entirety because a couple things there. There was a moment, and I'm not going to play the whole thing again because it's 3.5 minutes, but there was a moment there where Chris Wallace yelled at Donald Trump to be quiet, and he wasn't even talking. Came about halfway through. If we have time at the end, maybe we'll play it again. There was a moment where Chris Wallace actually told Donald Trump to stop talking when he wasn't even talking. Amazing. But you see that Donald Trump gets this question in, and Joe Biden is visibly flustered. He doesn't want to answer this question. He doesn't want to talk about Hunter. He knows that what Hunter has done is indefensible. So Joe Biden actually starts conflating issues, right? Donald Trump's talking about Hunter Biden getting $3.5 million from the wife of the mayor of Moscow, which is absolutely a true accusation. Mr. Producer, let's go ahead and put up my screen. This is the U.S. Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs and the U.S. Senate Committee on Finance Majority Staff Report. This is the interim report for Hunter Biden, Burisma, and corruption, the impact on U.S. government policy and related concerns. So we scroll down. This is a congressional report, interim report. You scroll down, you start getting to the key findings. And what's that right there? Key finding. Hunter Biden received a $3.5 million wire transfer from Elena Baturina, the wife of the former mayor of Moscow. So when you hear Joe Biden say that's completely, it's been debunked, it's not true. This is from the interim report. And you hear Joe Biden say, well, even Mitt Romney said that was bad. No, what Mitt Romney said was he didn't want the investigation at all because he thought it was political. Not that the findings were political. He didn't want to go down the path. At no point did Mitt Romney say that this key finding from the interim report was fake. Mitt Romney didn't say it. That's just a lie, Joe Biden. What Joe's trying to say is he's trying to debunk the finding by attacking the investigation itself. It's almost like an ad hominem attack against the investigators. Like, oh, well, it doesn't matter if you found out that my son Hunter Biden got $3.5 million from the mayor of the wife of the mayor of Moscow. Doesn't matter because Mitt Romney said you never should have even been looking. Ha! I mean, that's what Joe Biden's saying here. And then he conflates it even more, where he says that multiple people have testified before Congress that he did nothing wrong. He's conflating this payment with the fact that Joe Biden went overseas to Ukraine and said, if you don't fire the prosecutor, I'm not going to sign off on the aid guarantee, the loan guarantee, which coincidentally, we're being led to believe it was purely coincidental that Joe Biden was demanding that they fire the prosecutor who was looking into his son's company. A company, by the way, that we know Joe Biden was briefed on it, because this report found that Joe Biden was personally briefed about his son's conflict of interest in Ukraine. The fact that Joe Biden can't be going into Ukraine talking about fighting corruption when his son is working for one of the most corrupt companies in the country. So we know all that, but he's trying to conflate it, which is actually interesting. I don't know if that's a mistake, or I don't know if he's actually insinuating that $3.5 million wire transfer had anything to do with what he was doing in Ukraine. Right? The fact that critiquing this wire transfer leads Joe Biden to defend his threat to withhold aid, it raises a lot more questions than provides answers. But Joe Biden refused to answer the question. He says it's been debunked. It's not true. It has not been debunked. This is an interim report. It has not been fully explained. That's why this is an interim report. All Congress is saying is, hey, we found a wire transfer from the wife of the former mayor of Moscow to Hunter Biden to the tune of $3.5 million. We should probably get some explanation for what that was. Wire transfers don't lie. Listen, maybe there's a legitimate reason for it. I don't know. But we should be able to get an answer. You can't just say that the wire transfer didn't happen. Christopher says, can you provide a link for the document? Yeah, I'll post it in the comment section right now. Post it in the Facebook comment section. And there it is in the YouTube comment section as well. But no, it hasn't been debunked, right? They're still investigating it, but they found the wire transfer. Now we need to know why, and which is what Donald Trump was asking. Why was your son getting money from the wife of the former mayor of Moscow? But Joe doesn't want to talk about that. He says that is not the issue. See, Joe Biden wants to only talk about the issues that Joe Biden wants to talk about. And anything critical of Joe Biden is apparently some attempt to deflect. He refuses to allow any negative topic about him to become the focal point of the conversation. And you saw Chris Wallace jump in and defend him constantly, like where he says, go ahead, answer the question, Joe Biden, and then lets him off the hook when he doesn't answer it and says, oh, we're out of time. And then says, I'm going to ask a question about race relations, Mr. President. If you want to blow that off and not actually talk about race in America, which he never do, it's an important topic to discuss. If you want to blow it off, you can talk about whatever you want. Like, that's not a moderator. A moderator is supposed to actually drive the conversation, not to stop it from addressing certain topics, which is what I think one of Chris Wallace's worst parts of his performance last night. It wasn't driving the conversation. It was setting up roadblocks to stop the conversation from going in different directions. And when it did go in those directions, protecting Joe Biden and actually saving him. Like there's a saying in boxing, it's called Saved by the Bell. It was also a TV show. Saved by the Bell in boxing is if you get knocked down, right? You take a punch to the chin, you hit the canvas, you're knocked out, right? Then the ref will start giving you the count, right? Counting 1, 2, and you have to get up by the time that count's over. But if the bell rings during that count, you're saved by the bell. It doesn't matter whether you get up or not, you're saved by the bell. So you can actually take longer than the 10 count or whatever the count is to get up. Now, most boxing matches now say that you can't get saved by the bell, but that's what the saying's from. Chris Wallace was trying to save Joe Biden by the bell. There were multiple times during this whole entire debate where Chris Wallace says, okay, we're out of time on this section. Doesn't matter that I just asked Joe Biden a question. Doesn't matter that Trump just asked Joe Biden a question. He's refusing to answer. We're out of time. We're just going to have to go on to the next section. Like, oh, no, we're not going to talk about Hunter Biden. I want to talk about climate change. It was saved by the bell. He was saving Joe Biden by the bell. He controlled the bell. And every time Joe Biden got into trouble, he's up against the ropes. He's taking punches to the chin, right? His knees buckle. When he finally goes down and this Hunter Biden attack actually lands, Chris Wallace said, oh, no, we're out of time. We're out of time. If it wasn't for Donald Trump being so argumentative, maybe he could have answered, but we're out of time. No, it's a load of crap. You know it, I know it. It was pathetic. Chris Wallace should be fired from Fox News for this performance. The fact that Fox News advertised this as Fox News' own Chris Wallace will ask the questions. It was a disgrace how Chris Wallace managed that debate. It was a disgrace how he protected Joe Biden from anything even close to actual criticism. It was really sad. So Chris Wallace absolutely should be fired from Fox News for that performance. All right, what we got next? I love this one. At the end, they start talking about Trump, will you commit to a peaceful transition of power? Which is what they love to say. Basically insinuating that Donald Trump's going to be president forever. He's going to be a dictator, and he's going to lock the doors of the White House and just barricade himself inside. That's what the left wants you to think is going to happen. Donald Trump spun the question magically. It was an amazing spin on the transition of power and said, no, you don't have to worry about him because it was Joe Biden and his cronies who refused to peacefully transfer power when he won in 2016. And Donald Trump directly called Joe Biden out for his role in getting the FBI to use the Logan Act as the pretext to continue investigating Michael Flynn. Let's go ahead and listen to this. Cut 11.
When I listened to Joe talking about a transition, there's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different people, there was no transition because they came after me trying to do a coup. They came after me spying on my campaign. They started from the day I won and even before I won, from the day I came down the escalator with our First Lady. They were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country. And we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape. We've caught them all. And by the way, you gave the idea for the Logan Act against General Flynn. You better take a look at that because we caught you in a sense, and President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it too, so don't tell me about a free transition. As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster.
You see that? I could have found a little more high definition version of it, but I liked this person on Twitter, I forget who it was, how they zoomed in on Joe Biden's face. I'm going to play it again. Watch Joe Biden's face, because when Trump was saying other things, Joe Biden would say, that's a lie, that's a lie. But this part, the punches that Donald Trump is landing are hitting home. And you can see Joe Biden's entire demeanor change. This was a good attack by Donald Trump. You see Joe Biden looking down. You see him open his mouth like, as soon as Donald Trump says, we got you on tape, he goes, we'll watch it again. Pay attention to Joe Biden's facial expressions. Let's play that clip one more time. Cut, what cut was it? Cut 11.
When I listened to Joe talking about a transition, there's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different people, there was no transition because they came after me trying to do a coup. They came after me spying on my campaign. They started from the day I won and even before I won, from the day I came down the escalator with our First Lady. They were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country. And we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape. We've caught them all. And by the way, you gave the idea for the Logan Act against General Flynn. You better take a look at that because we caught you in a sense. And President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it too. So don't tell me about a free transition. As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster.
You see that? That is what it looks like when Joe Biden actually has a conscience and knows he can't call Donald Trump a liar because he has the receipts. He has the proof. The one time that Joe Biden didn't actually lash back, that's a lie. That's a lie. The one time. Because everything Donald Trump was just saying was absolutely true. So here's I think the last clip we have from the debate. This is the white supremacist part. We already played that. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So this is the white supremacist part where Chris Wallace is pressuring Donald Trump to say that he will denounce white supremacy. Donald Trump offers to do it, but Wallace keeps pressing it. Very, very strange. Let's go ahead and play this cut 13.
Are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
willing to do that.
So he's saying, yeah, I'm willing to do that. What Donald Trump eventually did, okay, so let's just put up my screen, Mr. Producer. I have the transcript. I put it into a Google Doc. This is the transcript from that part. Wallace says, you have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa. Trump says, that's right. And other left-wing extremist groups, but are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups? Trump says, sure. Wallace, and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha, as we've seen in Portland. Trump says, sure, I'm willing to do that. Wallace says, are you prepared specifically to do that? Trump says, I would say. Wallace jumps in, cuts him off, and says, go ahead, sir. Trump says, I would say almost everything I see from the left wing, not from the right wing. And Wallace says, so what are you saying? He's just cutting him off. He's literally trying to interrupt him so he can't actually say it. Trump says, I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace. Wallace says, well, then do it, sir. Trump says, I am. Biden jumps in and says, say it. Do it. Say it. And Trump says, do you call them? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a name. Wallace says, white supremacist and right-wing militia. Trump says, go ahead. Who would you like me to condemn? Biden says, white supremacists, the Proud Boys. And Trump says, who? And Wallace says, white supremacists, right-wing militia. And then Trump says, Proud Boys, stand back, stand by. But I'll tell you what, someone's got to do something about Antifa on the left because this is not a right-wing problem. So, and then Biden gets into the whole ridiculousness of Antifa is an idea, not an organization. Okay, yeah, these ideas are just destroying cities. Those are the most dangerous ideas ever, which socialism tends to be. I wanted to bring that up because what the media is doing today, and we can take this off the screen, is they're claiming that Donald Trump issued an order to the Proud Boys to stand back and basically stand by. That's how they're trying to portray this. But what happened was Donald Trump was saying, yeah, I'll condemn white supremacists. I'll do it. Tell me who you want me to condemn. Joe Biden said the Proud Boys, which is an organization, which is a group that the left hates. And Trump said, sure, okay, I'll condemn all of it. I want peace. And then he says the Proud Boys. And you can see that it was Chris Wallace who said that they need to, quote, stand down. So Donald Trump took Chris Wallace's stand down. He took Joe Biden's suggestion of condemning the Proud Boys, and he says, I need Proud Boys stand back and stand by. Don't get involved. They're trying to make that out to be that he is directing the Proud Boys, directing white supremacist groups to stand by because they might be called into action. It's really, really despicable. We can go ahead and take that off the screen, Mr. Producer. Really, really despicable the way that smear was. So we have a little bit of time. If anyone wants to call in, our number is 888-441-1121. As we're going to hopefully maybe take a call or two, I wanted to play this because this is unrelated. But this is a hot mic moment from Pennsylvania. With all the talk last night about the masks and about how Trump doesn't want people to wear masks, all that BS, this is a hot mic moment from Pennsylvania, which included the governor of Pennsylvania, what was his name, Tom Wolf. And it's an admission that wearing masks is all about political theater. Let's go ahead and play cut 12.
So Wendy, I'm going to take my mask off when I speak.
As well, I'm waiting so that we can do a little political theater.
Okay.
So that it's on camera.
Let's play that again. So you have Tom Wolf off screen saying that I'm going to wear my mask, and she says I want to do it too, but I want to wait and be on camera so we can do it as political theater. Let's go ahead and play that again. Cut 12.
So Wendy, I'm going to take my mask off when I speak.
I will as well. I'm waiting so that we can do a little political theater.
Okay.
So that it's on camera.
Despicable. They're admitting that the whole charade of walking up to the camera wearing a mask and taking it off is political theater. This is Pennsylvania, where the state is still locked down. Tom Wolf will not allow the state to reopen. And that's an admission from him in a hot mic moment that they thought the cameras weren't rolling, admitting that when they walk up to the camera wearing a mask, they don't actually need it because they immediately take it off to speak. But it's all about political theater. It's all about fear-mongering. Absolutely disgusting. So I wanted to play that because there was some talk. There was some talk last night about the masks and whether Donald Trump won't wear them or not. So I wanted to play that because I thought that was very interesting. That deserves an entire episode, but we probably won't be able. There's too much going on this week. Mr. Producer, Zach just said he called and got an answering machine. I don't know if our answering machine is still on or if you turned it off. 888-441-1121 is our call-in number. We might be having some problems with the phones. I don't know. But yeah, so let me know in the comment section what you thought about the debate. I thought that we did a good job in this episode just picking apart some of my favorite moments, some of the most important moments to cover, some of Chris Wallace's worst parts of the debate, some of the biggest lies, that were told. We weren't able to cover all of it. There was a lot. It was a 90-minute debate, and this is an hour show, so we can't cover all of it. Let me know if you think I missed something in the comment section of what you think we should have covered, because we're going to be posting these clips all day. So Mr. Producer Josh is on the phone right now. So the reason you probably got an answering machine is because the call waiting line was already backed up. So 888-441-1121. We have time for maybe one or two calls for the end of the show. And so call up. Let me know what you thought of the debate, what you thought the worst part was, what you thought the best part was. Honestly, I think I understand the critique for Trump saying that he should have been a little bit more relaxed. But as I said at the start, Chris Wallace was not forcing Joe Biden to answer questions. Chris Wallace was also not asking Joe Biden the pointed questions that he was asking Trump. So it was, the whole thing was devised. All of Wallace's questions were devised to put Trump on defense and to give Joe Biden an opportunity to punch him. Including the idea that Donald Trump said white supremacists were fine people, which, as we talked about, it was a complete lie. So we have Amy on the line, wants to talk about the possible wire that was in Biden's suit. Amy, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. So yeah, I saw that. There was two images that were going around. I want to let you know that they have now been debunked. So leadstories.com, the website that always loves to debunk us or fact check us, they have apparently debunked it. So we're not allowed to say that it was an IV. We're not allowed to say that it was a wire because they have determined that it wasn't. But what do you think it was?
You know what? I don't know, because my girlfriend, she had sent me the video and I watched it and I was kind of like, but where would that go? Like,
yeah,
to where you would be able to actually hear something, because you would have to see something up into his ear. So I was kind of like, well, what could that be? But then when I watched more of the video and I saw the whole thing in his sleeve, I was like, what the? And then someone was saying that it was a pen. I'm like, why would anybody have a pen there? Like,
Yeah.
that's just stupid.
So the official story from the Joe Biden campaign is that it was a rosary. And he had a rosary inside of his shirt arm for his dead son, Beau. So that is his story. So, but we live in a world where it doesn't matter if you don't believe it. Anything that the Biden campaign says has to be treated as fact. And Mr. Producer, you can go ahead and put up on my screen. This is Lead Stories, the website that always loves to fact check us. They have decided that you cannot say it was anything other than rosary beads because Joe Biden said it was rosary beads. If you post on Facebook that it was anything other than rosary beads, you will get fact checked and taken down because they have determined that it was rosary beads, even though they didn't frisk them. They weren't there in person. Crazy stuff. And then on the other one, they have also determined that it wasn't a wire. It was the crease of a shirt. So they said you're not allowed to say that Joe Biden was wearing a wire inside of his jacket. They said that anything that could possibly be seen to be a wire was actually a crease in his shirt. So it's amazing
That was
the
not
world we live in. That's what
that
they're
I
arguing.
definitely don't agree with. But that's totally understandable. But I love your guys' show. You guys really kind of had me turn my head. So thanks. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for the call, Amy. Have a good one. And now we have Zach. We can take one. We have time for one more caller. We'll take Zach on the line. Zach, how's it going? Do we lose him?
No, I'm still here.
Zach, can you hear me? Oh, hey, Zach, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. So what was your biggest takeaway from the debate?
The thing that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit is what you personally think Trump should do different in the next debate to make it so the media isn't just going to blow everything up like they did this time, because it's so hard for people to sift through information. Like, what should he do differently so this kind of thing does not happen again?
It's a good question. I think you could do a couple things. If I was giving him advice, I would tell him that if you want to talk about Hunter Biden, talk about Hunter Biden, and say, and when Chris Wallace tries to, or whoever's the moderator next time, tries to go and say, no, we will not go on to the next section. You asked him a question and he did not answer. If you want to be president of the United States, you have to answer the questions. Joe, answer the question, and literally just grind it to a halt. And if they say, well, Mr. President, I'm the moderator. He says, I'm the president of the United States. This man wants my job, and he won't even do the decency of answering your question. So, no, we do not go on to the next topic until he gives us an answer. I think that would have been a great line because Chris Wallace repeatedly would say, I'm the moderator, I'm the moderator. Trump should have just said, I'm the president of the United States, right? I think that shutting it down, locking it down, saying we're not taking one step forward. We have all night. We're not answering a single other question until he answers that question. I think that would work.
Did you see Bear interview Biden's campaign aide on that? Because he did that where he asked him the hard question, and I think that's why they took Wallace over Bear for this presidential debate, because he actually held him to the fire, and they're like, we're not going to talk Trump talking points for it. And it's like, dude, this is information that's actually out there in the public sphere and verified by our government. Like, what are you talking about Trump talking points?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very easy answer to give. If you're not going to pack the court, then just say you're not going to do it. The fact that he won't answer the question, it's not a news story. He's saying, well, if I answer, it's going to be this crazy news story, and I don't want to change the topic. If you say you're not going to pack the court, it's going to go away. So the fact that he thinks that it'll become an out-of-control news story is if he answers honestly and says, yes, my intention is to pack the Supreme Court. And then, justifiably, it will become a major news story. So, yeah, if the answer is no, he should just say it because there's no controversy there. The only reason he'd be refusing to answer is if he was going to say yes, which at this point I think we know the answer is yes.
Do you think on the topic of Obamacare, where Trump has been saying that he's changing it and actually giving people choice and taking away the mandate, that he should have the legislation somewhere that he can point people to and just be like, I have it right here and we have it online. Go ahead and look at the changes that we made to Obamacare between the two of them, and you guys can decide for yourselves if it's good. Like, they don't do that enough, where it's like, verify this yourself, guys.
I think that's fair. I think that there are times where Donald Trump says, "Oh, we have an immigration plan coming out," and he stays deliberately vague, so he doesn't have to actually put out what the plan is. Because if he does, he's going to piss off people one way or another. He did the same with healthcare, though. He did have a big rollout of the America First healthcare plan, which is this idea of giving people choice, of lowering prescription drug prices. So he had a big rollout last week. So he has been talking more about that. But I do think it was very interesting. I didn't bring the cut up because we ran out of time. But Chris Wallace, during the debate, actually accused Donald Trump of never putting forward a comprehensive plan, when it was brought forward in the Senate, and it died because John McCain walked up and did the gladiator thumbs down, right? So you can't say that Donald Trump has never put forward a health care plan when it actually received a vote in the Senate and failed by one vote. So I thought that was a really striking moment last night when Chris Wallace lied and said he's never put forward a comprehensive plan when he did, and it was voted down by one vote. Any final words? We have to wrap up soon.
No, I think that covers most of it. I mean, I really just hope people start. I was talking with my brother today about this, about fact checking, and he's like, all the liberal media, all you have to do is look in Google and you can see the fact checks. And you have to really fact check things yourself. I can't stress that enough. Find your own information and get involved politically, everybody. Talk to your friends and let them know the truth, because it's hard out there right now, man.
It is. Well, thank you so much for your call, Zach. It definitely is hard out there. And you notice that the liberal fact checkers only ever do a negative fact check. They did a couple times last night because they got forced to. But when Donald Trump says something absolutely true, like the Senate interim report says that your son got a $3.5 million wire transfer from Burisma, and Joe Biden saying, no, that's not true, and it's easily proven true, you would expect to see a fact check say, yes, no, what Donald Trump said is an allegation put forward in this report. But they don't do that, right? When Donald Trump says that Joe Biden called black criminals super predators when he was pushing the 1994 crime bill, you see that even when the liberal media covers it, they rate it as mostly true. Well, no, it's true. He called them super predators. It's not mostly true. It's true. So it's really, really frustrating, but absolutely, you got to fact check yourself. You got to make sure you look at all different outlets. Oh, people are saying, Zach, that you have a nice voice. Melinda says that your voice has her full attention. So that's interesting. Well, that's going to be it for this edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. I hope you liked this episode. Again, sorry Joe is out. He may or may not be having a liver transplant. Cannot confirm or deny that. No, well, we're all a little bit worse for wear from last night. But I hope you liked this podcast we put together. Hope we were able to show you a bit about the fact checking that the media should have done and some of the worst parts of the debate. Let me know in the comments section what you would have wanted me to add to it. Again, it was a 90-minute debate. This is an hour show. So let me know if you think we left anything out, and we'll definitely post those on our Facebook page throughout the day. So again, my name is Max McGuire. That's going to be it for this edition of the podcast. If you like the podcast, I cannot stress this enough. Please do go into the description. The first link is a link to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts for the audio version. If you have an iPhone or use a MacBook, very easy to do. Click that link, give us a 5-star review if you like it, and then write a couple words about how you like the show. It really helps us. We've now just hit number 119. We're the 119th most popular political podcast on Apple Podcasts in the United States. So please, please, please do review us. Please do leave a nice 5-star review and help us get up those rankings. We also have a link for you to join our email newsletter. If we do get taken down by Facebook or YouTube, that's how we're going to organize the show in the coming months. We're on Parler, so if you're on Parler, make sure you follow us at Conservative Daily, and we'll be happy to follow you back. In addition to Apple Podcasts, you can also find the audio version on Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Podbean. And again, if you haven't already, make sure that you like and follow our Facebook page and hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell for notifications on YouTube. Really does help us out as we try and grow the show. So again, my name is Max McGuire. Remember that the fight to take back our country clearly isn't over, but the only way we win is if we all stand up and fight together.